What's up, creepers? My name's Kevin. This is Haunted by Horror, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2001 film Valentine. The movie Valentine begins at a middle school Valentine's Day dance where bespectacled bucktooth Jeremy Melton asks girl after girl to dance and keeps striking out. That is, until he asks a heavier, less popular girl, Dorothy, and the two end up making out under the bleachers. However, they're quickly interrupted by a group of boys, and Dorothy is too embarrassed to be caught under the bleachers with Jeremy, so she claims that Jeremy sexually assaulted her. Jeremy then has punch dumped over his head, he's stripped down to his underwear, and beaten mercilessly without any intervention from anyone, including any of the chaperones at the dance. The movie then skips ahead 13 years, and we find that the five girls from the beginning of the movie are all doing pretty well. They're all successful. They're all still friends. And they're all receiving threatening Valentine's Day cards that they don't take nearly as seriously as they should. And one by one, they are murdered by a killer in a Cupid mask. This movie came out at the very tail end of the post-Scream slasher boom of the late 90s. And people were kind of sick of the trend at that point. This movie does have the polished look and sound of other slashers during that era, but the movie itself is more of a traditional, by the book 80s slasher film. None of the characters are likable in this movie. Most of the plot doesn't make sense. The kills are forgettable, and the twist at the end is so predictable that I almost hesitate to call it a twist. I watched this movie when it first came out, and I remember thinking that it was okay. But I mean, that was 20 years ago, and the only things that I really remembered were the mask, that there was a scene where they bit into the chocolate and it had maggots in it, and there was a scene where Denise Richards gets trapped in the hot tub and the killer stands on top of it with a drill. And watching it now, even that scene is completely pointless because at the end of it, there was no reason for him to do any of that since he just throws the drill into the hot tub, electrocuting her and making all of the rest of it pointless. It's not a terrible movie, it's just not good. But the soundtrack is awesome. It has Orgy, Rob Zombie, Static X, Deftones. BT is on this. So, I mean, if you want to stand out in the middle of a dance floor and do clouds with Vicks Vapor Rub all over your nose, then there you go. But as far as the movie itself, it's just not very good. And it really makes me understand why nobody talks about this movie anymore, because it's just not memorable. I'd have to say that the highlight of this movie is probably David Boreanaz. He's decent in this movie. I think he's a decent actor. I loved him in Buffy and in Angel, but he's just not in good movies. So I think really what it comes down to is the script, because this movie looks polished and put together. It has a decent cast, it has an excellent soundtrack, and the mask is really cool. But the writing is just awful. It's so bad. It's so bad. So, going into this review, I thought that I would be bringing up this movie that I remembered as being kind of cheesy, but overall liking, and sort of highlighting this hidden gem that people had kind of forgotten about. But that's not what happened. After rewatching this movie, I just can't recommend it. It's not good. Well, that's all I have to say about the 2001 film Valentine. Have a good night.